The Digimon series first released over 2 decades ago and has had a number of monster taming games ever since. Fans were excited when Bandai Namco announced Digimon Survive, a new twist on the well-known formula with heavy visual novel elements, and they've been patiently waiting for its release. Is this new edition survival of the fittest, or is it more a case of survival of the shiniest? I'm Glen Bolger, thank you to Bandai Namco for the review code, and now let's find out. So looking at the story then, and apologies for any mispronunciation of any of the names included, it sees Takuma and a group of students on a historical studies school trip during spring break. They soon reach a temple dedicated to the Kemonogami, or the beast gods, when he sees Koromon in the grass. Soon after, they hear screams coming from another part of the woods and run over to find the classmates being attacked by Digimon. Upon victory in this battle, they realise they are now in another world. The story is very dark and touches on some themes that you may not expect in a game such as this. The footage used for this review is up to chapter 5 and it was written to be spoiler free yet informative. After finishing the game and going through all of the text and options available, I can truly say that I really did enjoy the story. There is a New Game Plus which carries over all of your progress, items and Digimon, and there are also multiple endings depending on who survives. As I said, it gets darker than some may have imagined. Firstly, I need to make it very clear, as alluded to in the intro, that this particular Digimon game is very much a visual novel first and a strategy RPG second. You will experience the story through Takuma's eyes as he interacts with his group and with his Digimon. The flow of the game is split into multiple segments. During the visual novel parts, the game proceeds as a text adventure with multiple choice responses which affect your affinity with the group. You'll be able to interact with certain objects and characters in the scene via your crosshair pointer. There are some hidden items as well, which require the use of your mobile phone's camera, and when a glitched static appears on your phone's display, then the hidden item will be ready to be revealed. During the search actions, the player searches for a way to survive. In free action, the player is allocated some turn tokens and can freely go and interact with other party members. Due to your limited amount of time tokens, the player will have to choose wisely on who to talk to, as it's a good opportunity to increase the affinity and bonds with characters who are potentially going astray. There are also free battle areas which can be used to level up your team, as well as gain new Digimon. The visual novel segments are pretty long, and when you first start the game it can take up to an hour before engaging in any combat. This will not be to everyone's liking, but fans of the Super Robot Wars series will have an understanding of how the game flows. Luckily, the story is well written, albeit with a few unfortunate grammatical errors and spelling mistakes at times. Each character is fleshed out accordingly, and how much you speak with them, as well as the content of the conversations, will ultimately be the difference between life and death for them and their Digimon. This really changes the dynamic of the whole experience as you try to literally survive in this bizarre world full of talking creatures who act more as a witch's familiar, sworn to keep you safe. All the while you are trying to keep your group's morale up, as many distrust these creatures since the majority are trying to kill them. This is not the kind of visual novel where you will skip through the story. Granted, patience will most certainly be needed for those unfamiliar with the genre, but when you lose a member through mistrust, paranoia and hysteria, it does make you wonder what else you could have done differently. Seeing the most serene character turn into a cabin feverish wreck towards everyone, including their Digimon, is an experience seldom felt in gaming and is more akin to a horror movie. You are all lost wanting to get back home but need to keep it together. Whilst Takuma's internal monologues prove that even though he is in way over his head, he still needs to stay strong. How strong is of course up to you, the player. Now for the strategy part of the game. The battlefield here appears as multi-level terrain in an isometric view. The camera can be spun around and zoomed accordingly, and the player moves first, with the Digimon with the highest speed stat taking the first turn. They can move and attack and will automatically block when finishing their move. The strategy lies in attacking the enemy from the sides or behind in order to carry out more damage. Attacking from a higher position will also increase the critical hit total. Digimon can be recruited to your team in a similar way to that seen in the Shin Megami Tensei series. You can chat with the Digimon in order to convince them to join your crew. You will be able to talk to them and they will ask you 3 questions. The aim is to choose one of 4 responses that will fill the bar atop their heads. After all of the questions have been answered, if the bar is filled halfway or more, the player will have a chance to either ask them to join their team or ask for an item. The percentage on the screen shows the likelihood of the Digimon joining your ranks or fleeing the battlefield. If however you fail to impress the monster, they will instead receive an attack boost. The main partner Digimon have evolution trees that unlock as the story unfolds. They also require growing closer with their human partners, which is why it is important to use your free action time accordingly to make sure bonds deepen. All other Digimon can evolve via items you find during your playthrough, and it will require many to collect them all. I did enjoy the visual novel segments more than expected, I must say, especially since they require some detective work and great interpersonal skills. Again, this will become rewarding when the player takes time to know the group, the Digimon and the world lost with time. A few more Digimon battles to better balance the story segments would have been appreciated, and this would also have helped the game to flow a little more naturally, but due to the content and narrative of the story, it's understandable why they do not occur so frequently. Gameplay including story gets 17 out of 20. Controls work very well for both gameplay styles and they get 18 out of 20. In terms of the visuals, Digimon Survive uses a mixture of still images and fully animated, colourful, anime-styled assets. In order to make the visual novel segments more dynamic, the camera will move across the scenery and will zoom in or out when needed. This makes the characters in the scene stand out more, and all of them have multiple expressions, which in turn helps to bring them to life. The vast majority of the game is voiced in Japanese with subtitles, which helps to make the visual novel segments feel like a fully fledged anime, and the voice acting helps to make each scene as dramatic as intended. Many would have preferred a dubbed version, I'm sure, which would have made the reading segments less cumbersome, but this may well have deterred from relaying the right emotion and tone. During battle, the assets in the battlefield look decent, with them rendered to appear three-dimensional. The Digimon and other characters will appear as 2D sprites, which make them stand out significantly. Nothing compares to your Digimon evolving for the first time and seeing their human partner dwarfed by their side in true awe of what they have become. The developers have managed to add a lot of transitions and animations during the visual novel segments, which help in making them far more engaging. The text is of a decent size and overall the game pops nicely, particularly if playing on an OLED Switch. I did not encounter any frame drops, stutters or crashes during my entire playthrough. I will say that the Digimon could have possibly done with better animations during battle, as for me this would really have supported the titanic nature of these moments. The soundtrack is full of great songs, although at times they can become a little repetitive. Visuals complement the dynamic nature of the source material and also support the anime style. A little more variety in the battle animations would have been appreciated, but nonetheless they get 17 out of 20. Audio contains voice acting that provides the necessary energy, although the lack of an English dub will be lamented by some. The soundtrack is also just a tad repetitive. It gets 15 out of 20. Digimon Survive Month 1 edition costs £44.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. This edition comes with the legendary virus reptile, Gilmon, if I've said that correctly, apologies if not, and it's only available for those who buy the digital version before the end of August 2022. There is also a physical standard version available, but people do seem to be having trouble finding it due to how many were produced. Expect to find these physical copies to be considerably more than the eShop price at this moment in time. There is a great story here that will take an average of about 40 hours to complete, without mentioning that New Game Plus mode. The production value is of a high standard, which you would expect from a company such as Bandai Namco, but truly the value has to be measured on how much of a fan you are of the franchise and how willing you are to have the action take a back seat, owing to the heavy visual novel influence here. On the whole though, value scores 15 out of 20. To conclude, I have to say that having gone into this game blind for this review, I ended up really enjoying it. Granted that this is not what fans may have been expecting or waiting for, and Bandai Namco have picked a very niche genre to blend with the well-loved monster taming and battling formula, but there is enough content here to keep you busy. Hopefully this review has made you fully aware of exactly what you are getting should you decide to purchase this game, as provided you know and are happy with exactly what to expect from a gameplay standpoint, then this is a very enjoyable experience. A little more action would have balanced things out perfectly in my opinion in terms of the gameplay, but that may have been to the detriment of the fantastically gripping story, so perhaps it's best they moulded it just the way it is. Digimon Survive gets a SwitchUp score of 82%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. A big thank you to Azdin who wrote this one for us. Azdin has his own channel, Grinning Wolf Games. I will put a link to it in the top pinned comment. Please do check it out. Consider subscribing whilst you're there, that would be great. Don't forget, if you are looking to pick this game up, it looks as if it might be easier to get it digitally than the physical version at the moment. You can use our website to get yourself eShop credit, switchup.gg. It does help the channel out, so if you do use it, thank you, it's very much appreciated. If you are looking to import this game, I do believe one of the available options, not the Japanese one by the looks of it, actually has English on the cartridge. There is a link to Play Asia in the top pinned comment. Use the link and use the code stated down there and you can get 5% off of your order. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.